Question 1.1.4, still solving for x here, your last question for solving for x. We have this big mess here in brackets under the root 32 plus x, and in the other brackets under that root 32 minus x is equals to x. So this is, you can say, your level 4 question towards the end of question 1.1. So ideally, first things first, what we need to understand when we actually doing this here is, if we come back to our basics, we need to understand the rule where root a multiplied by root b is equals to root a times root b, all under one big square root. So ideally that's the rule we're going to implement here, because if we have a look at the parts that I'm going to highlight, that is under a root, that's root 32 plus x under that root, so that can be a, and root 32 minus x, which can be b. So now what we're going to do is, before we actually put it under one big square root, let's actually show it like this. So it will be here, so we can put this in brackets, root 32 plus x, and because that's the rule that we follow in here, minus x all under one big square root is equals to x. And how this helps us, since we have isolated our square root on the left hand side, now we can actually go ahead and square root both sides. So no marks for this, is just to show you exactly what rule we actually implemented. So here you can come here, square this side, and one thing to note here again on top of that is we have root 32 plus x, root 32 minus x. So then, since it's exactly the same terms, that looks like something we could possibly use just now, which we could maybe have a difference of two squares there. But, all right, but we come into that now. But first, let's square both sides. So squaring both sides, that will cancel off that, and then on the right hand side we left with x squared, and on the left hand side we left with root 32 plus x, root 32 minus x. So ideally that's essentially what we have here, and then we can go ahead and start foiling these things in. So if we understand the dots here, once we foil this in, we should get root 32 squared minus x squared is equals to x squared. So once we have this out, or once you foil that out, we need to sort out our like terms. So let's get everything onto the right hand side. So this would be x squared plus the x squared, that would be 2x squared. Once we take this over, it becomes positive, and root 32 and the square cancels out, so that's just 32, and we can take 32 onto the right hand side, so it will be minus 32 to x squared, right? So once we do that, we can divide each term by 2 here, just to make our life easier. We'll get x squared, so I'm just dividing everything by 2 there, minus 16, and then now we can actually figure out that this is also dots, so this is your difference of two squares. Right, so now we can factorize this again to solve for x as our initial instruction stated, but here we'll get x minus 4, x plus 4, and therefore we can say x is equals to 4, or x is equals to minus 4.